Hello, dear friends. This is Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m. Nourishing our souls together. We are here to study another chapter of the book Jesus in the Home by Neio Lucio through Chico Xavier. In this book, we will find the true reports between Jesus and the disciples and other people at the time in Peter's home. Stories that Jesus told to teach us about how to live life in the proper way. That's what I may say. And as Neio Lucio says in the preface of the book, and Emmanuel reinforces to us, we're the new disciples, right? And as new disciples, we're being asked to walk the talk. Are we? It's so funny because in our everyday life, we observe that people dream of happiness, but the choices that we make are always worldly choices, right? We dream of a beautiful sunny day where everything's tranquil, but we forget that there are many people who are suffering. So, what is your dream? What is your ideal in life? Today, chapter 36 is titled The Tough Problem. So, Jesus kindly is going to enlighten us once again with a new understanding. And for that reason, I would like to share with you that this was an evening discussion that Jesus had with the disciples. And our dear Neio Lucio says, in the middle of that evening's discussion, one of the disciples wanted to know what the toughest matter to resolve in searching for divine enlightenment was. What could one say was the most complicated problem in the realm of the spiritual fight? What do you think? Hello, friends, welcome. So what do you think is the toughest issue when we talk about spiritual progress? What is it? After naming a number of considerations with regards to the matter, the master displayed a look of deep understanding as he began telling the following story. So people were brainstorming. I think it's this, I think it's that. What do you think it is? I don't know. What do you think? And Jesus understood. Yesterday, when we're studying the previous chapter, Jesus was teaching us about the need for understanding. When we understand, we seek the good, feel the good, visualize the good, and mold the good with all the resources we have at hand. So what is exactly this toughest problem that Jesus is going to unfold for us? So Jesus says, there was once a great wise man with 3 young sons who were intelligent and committed to learning. On one particular morning, they were quarreling about what was the hardest obstacle to overcome on the great path of life. At the height of the disagreement, perhaps foreseeing an unpleasant outcome, the benevolent father summoned them and gave them an interesting task. The 3 of them would go to the palace of the governing prince, taking with them certain gifts which would display their spirit of cordiality and kindness. The first would bear a costly vase made of precious clay. The second would take a rare breed of deer. The third would carry an exquisite cake made by the family. The fraternal trio agreed to the mission with the enthusiastic promise of service. It was only a short 3-mile trip, but when they were only halfway there, they began to argue. The bearer of the vase didn't agree with the way that the one brother was leading the delicate deer, and the one in charge of the animal told the one carrying the cake to be careful not to trip and ruin the delicacy. This last one warned the bearer of the valuable vase not to drop it. The small entourage continued down the road with great difficulty because each traveler was commenting on the responsibilities of the other two with heated and incessant remarks. At one particular moment, the brother who was leading the deer forgot about his own job in order to correct the position of the clay piece in his brother's arms. And just during their argument, the vase suddenly fell and broke to smithereens on the stony gravel. When the vase broke, the distracted guide of the deer lost control of the animal, which escaped in fear into a nearby forest. Trying to prevent the deer from fleeing, the one carrying the cake ran after it into the forest, and the contents of the silver tray splattered on the ground. Disappointed and angry, the 3 young men went back to their father, and each one of them presented his complaint and failure. The wise man, however, smiled and explained, "Learn from the lesson of the road. If each of you had been minding your own business, you wouldn't have reaped the darkness of failure. The most complicated problem in the world, my sons, is that everyone should take care of their own business without meddling in the business of others. As long as we are thinking about other people's responsibilities, we forget about our own." Jesus fell silent, thoughtful, and a prayer of love and understanding completed the lesson. The end. The end of the story. Did you see the body language of Jesus? First, understanding by the look. Yesterday, many people were asking, how do we practice understanding? Understanding is something from within. And we're seeing this new chapter that Jesus is practicing and he's displaying understanding without words. How do we know somebody can look at us and understand us? So here's a tip for all of us, okay? An exercise. We all express who we are and what we're feeling through the body language. It's a new field of science, especially neuroscience, which is called the neuroscience of emotional body language. If we just pay attention to people, and you can do 2 things. You can go to a park, or you can go in the streets, or you can go to a store or to a mall and sit observing people, thinking, what are they possibly feeling? And by the way they display, you start training your eyes to see beyond hearing anything. The other thing, since we all have internet connections, go to YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, wherever you want to go, where videos are, and don't turn on the sound. Turn it off and watch whatever clips, videos, short ones, and ask yourself, what are people saying? What are they actually feeling? And observe facial expressions, posture, gestures to pick up on possibly how they are feeling. And see in between the minimal gestures, facial expressions, posture, what they are conveying. Sometimes they match the discourse that they're giving verbally. Sometimes they don't. And neuroscience even say that there may be actually a third possibility, a mismatch between the emotional body language of the facial expression and the rest of the body, what they call incongruency. And that's why many people are puzzled when they are talking to people, like, I talked to that person, it's so funny. I felt this, that, and the other. I don't get it. Well, besides the company or the spirits, of course, there is what we call incongruency. People saying one thing in their facial expression, the rest of the body speaks another language sometimes, and they say something else to the mouth. Everything mismatching. So when we observe others, we start practicing ourselves, okay? Practicing ourselves on this very body language, okay? Okay, so we practice by observing others, and then we can be more coherent ourselves. All right? So Jesus here, he's replying to this beautiful lesson, beautiful question. What is the toughest problem? Jesus is so current that he's saying, mind your business and everything is going to be fine. Meaning, don't worry about how your family is operating, how your colleagues at work. Focus on your things. But I want to help. I don't think so. We want to help by doing what we need to do ourselves. The best help we can give the world, to the world, is do the things we have to do in the best possible way. But not telling people what to do. Not even our children. We can guide them, but not exactly tell them what to do. Say, I think you should take a shower right now. I don't want it. Well, we need it. Oh, but I want to take 5 more minutes. Okay, in 5 minutes we're going to go there. So, minding our business. Where are you regarding this very lesson of today? The tough problem. What is the toughest? Let's ask this question. People are asking Jesus. Chapter 36, the tough problem. It says right here, what could one say was the most complicated problem in the realm of spiritual fight? When people do not mind their business. That's the answer of Jesus. Scale 0 to 10. Where are we regarding that? Oh, but I mind my business so much that I have time to help others. I don't think so. Maybe we're missing something. And there are people who have huge problems focusing on their things because they're in an escape mechanism. They want to mind people's businesses because they don't want to mind theirs. They are afraid of looking at their reality. So they need to focus on somebody else's reality. In that case, what do? You need a therapist. You need spiritual treatment. Because then we're trying to escape away from things we cannot escape away. And our inner transformation should be our focus 24/7. Even in the dealing with people, caregiving, it's all about how I do it, then what I do, and what others do. This lesson seems to be simple, right? Not quite, because it's the toughest of all. Why? Because in telling others what to do, we escape from working on it ourselves. And why is it so hard for us to focus on our lives? That we have to escape through alcohol, sex, drugs, or overdoing. Why? Because we feel guilty. We don't forgive ourselves. It's tough looking at it. And we have to feel we're always on the go, somewhere taking care of somebody. That's majority of people on earth. No wonder there are many people who are overworked because they don't want to go home early and be with their families. They don't want to take care of their family members or communities. They want to travel the world, escape away. So how do we know if we're doing well? What would be a good measure? When we enjoy fulfilling our duties, as Leon Denis says in this book, After Death. And it's marked chapter 43, duty. Duty, and he says here, the ceaseless practice of duty results in perfecting ourselves. In order to speed up this improvement, it's advisable to start studying oneself carefully and submitting one's own actions to a scrupulous control, for one cannot remedy the evil without knowing it. We can even study ourselves in other individuals. Whenever we feel shocked by some vice, some regrettable shortcoming in others, let us examine carefully whether we can find an identical germ inside ourselves, and in case we do, we must endeavor to uproot it right away. May we submit to a rigorous discipline. Let us avoid the frivolous conversations and idle talks that give rise to gossips. Let us always speak the truth, whatever its outcome. May we strengthen ourselves by studying and meditating frequently, for this is how the souls encounter the new lights and new forces, that we might say at the end of each day, I have done a useful work. I have succeeded in controlling myself in some way. I have aided, comforted the wretched, enlightened my fellow creatures. I've worked to make them better. I have fulfilled my duty. But he's not saying don't mind your business. He's just saying it's your business to do the best. So if you are the cook in your home, we cook with love. And we're not going to say, you're not eating well. I'm going to cook what's healthy for you. But they want to eat something else. We pray. We have to give room for people to be. Love justice. When Kardec asked the spirits, how can you define justice? They said, respect people's rights. If people want to go crazy, that's their problem. We are going to pray for them. But we cannot go there and block their way and start a battle. You can't go that route. Right? Did you know that Chico Xavier had a sister of many brothers and sisters? He had one sister that never became a spiritist. She kept herself being Catholic. Did you know it? Many people didn't know. And he had a good relationship with her. But Chico never felt it was personal to him. He never took it personal. He understood it was her need. So they had a good relationship. And she was a benevolent woman, helped many people. But one day she discarnated. And spiritually speaking, she didn't want to leave her house because she was connected to the family. So Chico Xavier says that a group of loving spirits, including the mother of Chico Xavier and the sister, came to rescue her, saying, let's go. It's time to go. And she said, can I spend one more week here? And she did. A week later, the mother and other good spirits came to rescue her and said, let's go. But she had a request. I don't want to go to a colony, a spiritist colony. I want to go to a colony where I can find other Catholic people. And this is Chico Xavier reporting on the discarnation and the passing and the transition of his sister. He had a good relationship with her. She never became a spiritist. But have you heard that Chico Xavier tried to change her, control her, or argue with her? No. He just let her be. So today, Jesus is saying, you're free, let it go, let it go. Let other people's business go, shall we? Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Please, let it go. Huh? Tonight is freedom night. Freedom from the toughest problem in our spiritual growth. Let other people's lives and business be. Jesus gave us the whole example. Judas couldn't understand him, did what he needed to do, and Jesus never came back saying, oh, I couldn't change Judas' mind. It wasn't Jesus' problem. Let people be. At the end of the day, we take it personal because of our ego. We think that people are doing this because of us. And if we don't change them, we're not powerful. So we want to show our power in changing people, making them do what we want them to do. No, let the ego-based wishes go. Teresa Castro is asking, but how can we tell when we're helping versus enabling, which leads people to more helplessness? Good question, Teresa. Let's think together. When are we helping or enabling? It depends. For example, I'll talk about enabling. An example on enabling. I met this. A person had a child who was a teenager who became heavy drug addict. He couldn't work or study. And she said, I work to pay for his drugs so he doesn't go stealing and go to jail. Is that helping? No. Is it enabling? Yes. That's enabling. Now, helping. A family member smokes, but smokes outside, doesn't smoke in the house. And they come and you pray. You pray that they do well. And you don't argue with the person. You don't try to change them. You understand. That's helping. You're helping by practicing, like attempting unconditional love. Enabling is when we're supporting the wrongdoings. Okay? Did she manage to go to a colony with her Catholic people? I think so, Jailton. The sister of Chico Xavier went to a colony. Because, for example, No Solar is not a spiritist colony. We have many people in No Solar who come from different walks of life. Look at André Luis. He wasn't a spiritist and he got there. So, the spiritual colonies, we're talking about the elevated ones, right? The ones that are not of the dark forces. They have a mix and match of people who come from different beliefs. Sunshine is saying, when you're a caregiver and your client has a contagious disease and resists personal hygiene, then what do? Letting it go is not an option in that case. Well, okay, exactly, but that's an extreme case, right? You're talking about the general good that comes first. So one thing is for somebody to smoke outside of the house, not inside, on their own. Another is to smoke with everybody. I mean, if you want to smoke, okay, outside, but not inside. because there are other people. And I think that's the case you're saying here, Sunshine. The balance of the general good versus the person's right. So there's a boundary here. Contagious disease, the general good counts, is weights more than the personal choice. So that's not a choice. Oh, but I can go there and steal. I don't think so, because the rules already say we cannot steal. So it's in the law. The general good is supreme. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, Teresa, as well. So friends, tonight, I think it's so liberating, don't you feel? That Jesus is freeing us. He's saying, be lighter, like he was. Enjoy taking care of yourself. And like Leon Denis says, push hard on you, but let people be. Let them do what they need to do. Andrea is saying, I have a lot of friends from other religions and they're always open when explaining spiritual things, but I use the Bible stories to help they understand Kardec. That's beautiful. So for us, what do we need to do in the next 24 hours? If you feel like I have to explain, I have to do, breathe in and out and sing. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. I don't want to take care of people's business. We can help when they need help, but that's not in the pile of my to-do list. Change this person. Make them think differently. Shift their ideas and feelings. Thank God. Tear it apart. If that's a piece of paper, trash it out. Boom. We're free. Letting go of the ego. Huh? I don't need to make people feel or do the same way I do. All right, Rudy. All right, friends. Thank you, friends. A big hug to you. Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to study another story from the Master. Thank you, Master Jesus, the idol son. For now, we're going to thank Jesus, saying, thank you so much for freeing us from this insane ego-based need to change people, to make them feel differently. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. And thank you also, Neio Lucio, Chico Xavier, for this loving opportunity of the recount of the stories by the Master. Thank you, good and loving spirits. May we feel the protection in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our intercontinental connection, making this world feel more loved, protected, because we're feeling more loved and protected and guided. And so be it. Thank you, thank you. See you tomorrow, friends. Big hug.